Good morning, everybody. How are you doing this morning? So, welcome to Mindset Monday. My name is Sally Garozzo, and this is definitely the place to be to get more inspiration, more motivation on how to be happier and more fulfilled in your life. So, welcome. And today I want to talk about the idea of how to be rejection proof. So, have you ever walked down the street and seen somebody singing out loud, dancing to themselves, or I've seen somebody actually lying down on the pavement? I live in Brighton, and so we always see people who are dressed in wacky clothes and wacky outfits. And I've often thought to myself, wow, those people must have absolutely no fear of rejection. Maybe they've been through hell and back and they've grown a thick skin, or maybe they're just practicing the art of being rejection proof. And maybe they're thinking to themselves, actually, maybe I'm much safer than my mind really thinks I am. So it really is the most liberating feeling of all when you couldn't care less about what people think about you. But the trouble is, most of us do live in fear of being rejected because we are actually wired that way. So, fearing rejection actually ensures our survival. And if you're watching, please say hello, send me some likes, send me some hearts, let me know that you're here, and let me know how you're doing today. So fearing rejection does ensure our survival, but it definitely doesn't ensure our growth. So actually in our minds, we are wired to stay small, to stay safe. We're wired to fear doing anything that actually goes against the status quo. And here is why. We can't actually talk about rejection without talking about connection with others, because connection with others is also wired into our DNA. We absolutely need other people for our survival. And back in the day, banishment from the community was one of the worst sentences you could give a person, because it would actually mean a long, slow death. So isolation can make you feel like you're going mad, totally mad. And I've had that experience myself. And, in this day and age, when everything is delivered to your door, you could actually spend a lifetime not seeing anybody. We're all connected via social media. But actually, if you don't see anybody, you end up with anxiety and depression. But more than that, in tribal times, when we lived in tribal communities, we survived by our community. And when we are around other people, we actually feel safer because we all relied on each other. So one person would go out and fetch the water, another person would grow the vegetables, another person would go out and kill the meat, another person would stand at the city wall entrance and stop, the enemy from coming in. We all relied on each other for our safety. And if you were sent outside of the city wall, it would mean a certain death, that's for sure. Now, I've never seen Game of Thrones, but apparently that happens in Game of Thrones. So we have this wiring in our mind that says, I will die if you reject me, and I will die without connection. And it's utterly fascinating when you start to dig deeper and start to understand the way that we are wired, and that our fears are there just to protect us, really. But we can appreciate them, but we can override them for the sense of our growth and our evolution. Now, everything that I'm speaking to you about today is coming from my teacher, Marissa Peer, and she says this brilliant quote: it's our relationships with people that make us happy, not things like shopping, getting that promotion, money, stuff, accumulating stuff. It can feel good temporarily, but long term, it's our relationships with ourselves and our relationships with other people that make us happy. So we really need to understand where this rejection comes from and how to avoid feeling rejected so that we can create better, stronger relationships. So what have I written here? Yes, that is why. So the fact that we need relationships, that is why we fear rejection so much. So when you start to understand it, you start to deal with it very, very differently. But the understanding has to come first. So I would like to ask you a question. What does fear of rejection hold you back from? I'm going to throw a few things out there, but you can definitely ask yourself this question, and it's absolutely part of your homework. So, does fear of rejection hold you back from things like asking for a pay rise, asking for more money from your clients, or asking for that bill that hasn't actually been paid and you need it to get paid? Do you worry about asking for money? Do you worry about public speaking? Would you like to do public speaking, but you're frightened of being judged, criticised or shamed? Would you like to grow your business, but you're worried about the relationships that you've got to build in order to do it? Are you worried about becoming more visible, so doing Facebook Lives and stuff like that? Are you worried that you want to take your art out into the world, but you're worried that people won't like it and they're going to reject you? I've definitely had that as a musician in the past. Do you really want to collaborate with other people, but you're worried that they might reject your ideas? Do you want to take dance lessons, singing lessons, acting lessons, but you're worried that you're just not good enough and that you're going to be rejected by everybody else? Do you want to start a YouTube channel? Do you want to start a podcast? Things like that. Or it could be something much simpler. Is there somebody that you really like and you want to hang out with? And you really want to ask them if they want to hang out, but you're worried that they're going to reject you. Or maybe you're even staying in a relationship that is pretty outdated and you know deep down inside you need to move on, but you're worried about hurting the other person and then getting rejected. So I want to let you know, and you can think of your own things as well. There will be specific things personal to you that you will have inside of you that are holding you back. And it's okay. I want you to know that it's absolutely okay. It's perfectly normal. It's perfectly natural to have those fears. You know, fear of rejection is normal because it ensures that we don't get banished. Our brains, our minds think that we still live in tribes and that we're going to get sent outside the city wall, which will mean certain death. But living in fear, living this way actually stunts our growth because it stops us from moving forward. It stops us from evolving. Now, we can't talk about fear of rejection without talking about criticism. And this is really one of my favourite subjects because I've been heavily criticised and I have been that person who has criticised another just really badly. So when I learnt about this, it was like so many light bulbs just went on. So I'd like you to ask yourself, I'm going to ask you, how many of you here watching this have been criticised by a parent, by a friend, by a sibling or by a partner, and it's really, really, really affected your inner sense of self-worth, your inner sense of who you are? You can end up being so confused when you're in a situation where somebody is criticising you. And it's actually very common. It's very common in dysfunctional families. And when I learned this one simple phrase from Marissa Peer, I realised I never, ever had to worry about being criticised ever again. And here is the phrase. You're going to absolutely love it. People who criticise have the most criticism reserved for themselves. I'll say that again. People who criticise have the most criticism reserved for themselves. I just love that. And here's why. People who criticise have to criticise in order to diminish you and elevate themselves. And this is because something happened to them in their lives that have made them feel less than, like they're not enough exactly the way that they are, like they have to constantly earn love or try to get love and appreciation and recognition because maybe someone in their life didn't appreciate them or recognise them when they were little. So remember, when somebody attacks you personally, they're trying to diminish you in order to elevate themselves. And they are projecting, or they are misdirecting their own sense of lack of self-worth onto you, and they don't even realize that they're doing it. Now, it happens a lot on social media, especially when people are trying to prove your opinions wrong in order to puff themselves up. And when you think about it, it's actually really sad that they feel they have to diminish you to elevate themselves, because the truth is, of course, we're all enough. They are enough. And they just don't see it. They're not seeing it themselves. They haven't done the inner work, and they don't even realize that they've got to do inner work in some cases. They just think they're better than everybody else. So here's a little sidebar. It is actually possible to put your point across online in a way that doesn't diminish another person, even if it's a totally different opinion, totally, the opposite end of the spectrum. You can do it in a way that is kind, is compassionate. And I think I'm probably going to do a separate live about that, because it seems like a whole big topic. So here is what you do. Here's what you do. If somebody criticizes you or judges you for being whatever, so for being, saying the wrong thing, or being not pretty enough, or wearing the wrong outfit, or your hair's not quite right, or your makeup's not quite right, or, you don't spend enough time doing this, or you don't, you've got priorities that are different, or they try to put you down for your opinion or something. You want to say this, and I love this. I learnt this from Marissa Peer. You want to say, thank you for sharing, and then drop it. Okay, so just thank you for sharing and drop it. You don't engage with it. You don't throw fuel on the fire. And if you don't throw fuel on the fire, soon it's going to fizzle out. It's going to burn out. You cannot keep perpetuating criticism, defensiveness, this arguing cycle. So you just notice any defensiveness that comes up in you when somebody's criticizing you. That's perfectly normal, but you don't engage with the defensiveness. You just breathe through it. It's there for a reason. It's perfectly natural. And then here's how you deal with it. You say to yourself on the inside, you don't have to say this on the outside, you can if you want, but you just say to yourself on the inside, I'm not letting that comment in because it's not mine. And you say, I know I'm enough. And you talk yourself into a much better headspace. It's not mine. You say, thank you for sharing. And you go in, I'm not letting that in because it's not mine. They need to elevate themselves to make themselves feel better. And the truth is, as long as your own personal intentions are pure, so you don't want to hurt anyone, you can simply justify why you're doing the thing that is pissing the other person off. You can justify that to yourself. So you justify your opinion, you justify your choice of words, you justify your hair, and you justify your choices. And that's absolutely okay. You justify why you're dancing in the street or laying on the pavement or whatever freaky behaviour, you've got going on. So, to recap, when somebody criticises you, they are projecting their own internal feeling of I'm not enough onto you. And equally, when you criticise someone, you are projecting your own sense of I am not enough onto them. So here's the thing. What you want to do is try to deepen your understanding and compassion levels towards the other who is clearly feeling less than. Now, if you have been abused, don't do that. Just stick two fingers up and run the other way. But if it's like a, not necessarily abuse, but just criticism, then you can try to deepen your understanding of why they are doing what they are doing. And I've had to do this with somebody very, very close to me. I've had to really, really dig deep inside myself to absolutely understand that everything they are saying to me is everything that I say they antagonise. And every time I listen to them antagonise me, I have to really dig deep and understand why they are doing it, because they feel really, really less than on the inside. And that's very, very, very sad, actually. And then you can kind of act from kindness and compassion. Yes. So, what do I want to say now? Now, sometimes we need to get clearer on what is criticism and what is constructive criticism. So sometimes people do genuinely want to help us, especially teachers, especially coaches, especially parents, therapists, some friends and some partners as well. It might come out like criticism, but underneath there is something constructive. And here's what you do. You simply recognize that they might be projecting a little of their own not enoughness onto you, but you respect the fact that they want to help you. And then you choose, again, it's about deciding, you choose that you want to learn from what they are trying to tell you. So it's all about a choice. You can choose how you want to feel in a moment when you understand the dynamic, where it's coming from. So you notice where you feel defensive, and then you ask yourself, maybe I do need to up my game in this area. And then it's your choice at the end of the day, but you decide, maybe I do need to up my game. Maybe I do need to get up a bit earlier and go to the gym. Maybe I shouldn't change my hair as much, but I'm loving my new hair, by the way. Maybe I shouldn't have said that word on social media. Maybe I'll learn from that. So you just recognise and you choose at the end of the day what you want to let in and what you want to discard as being their own projection. So, like I said before, as long as your intentions are pure, so as long as you don't want to hurt anyone, either choice is fine. Hi Rachel, I'm just going to say some shout outs. Hi Rachel, hi Janine, hi Sarah, hi Sam, hi Mark, hi Pritam, and hi Lee Claxton. Wow, that's a blast from the past. So, that's all from me today. There's quite a lot here, and I reckon, if you go back and watch it again, you'll probably get a lot from it. So that is all from me today, and I would like to invite you to do some homework to help you get to the root of any fear of rejection. So first of all, I want you to ask yourself, hi Jules. First of all, I want you to ask yourself, what area of your life are you holding yourself back because of fear of rejection? And I mentioned a long list of things earlier on, so you can watch it back if you like. Write it down, be real with yourself, be honest with yourself, and then ask yourself, where was I criticised as a child? Which might have installed certain beliefs in me that I'm still believing today, and I'm using it as an excuse to hold myself back. Because what you will have done is written a program in your mind that will have said, if a parent criticised you or rejected you in some way, your mind will have gone, I must never experience that pain again. That was so humiliating. So from now on, your mind will always take you away from that situation. Maybe it was your art. Maybe you did a piece of art and somebody said, oh, that's not very good, is it? And then that hurt so much, you shut your artistic side down. I don't know. You will have your own unique story. And it's really good to close your eyes and do this one and go back to scenes in your life where you might have been rejected in the past, or where you might have been criticised, or where you might have criticised somebody else. And then you write down your findings. And then you say to yourself, I don't need to do that anymore because I have a new understanding of why it happened. I'm just not going to let that in. So you can choose not to let criticism in if you feel it really doesn't belong to you. And it probably doesn't belong to you because people who criticise have the most criticism reserved for themselves. True fact. So, if you want to know how I can help you, I do offer an intense 2-hour process called Rapid Transformational Therapy, which clears all blocks through the use of the subconscious mind, and it gives the most important operating system of all, your mind, a massive upgrade. And it's crazy to think that we upgrade our computer systems all the time, we upgrade our phones, but we don't upgrade the most important operating system of all, which is our minds. And so RTT can do that for you. And for those of you who don't know, RTT was designed and developed by the amazing Marissa Peer, and it really is now taking over conventional therapy because it's rapid and it's rooted in the science of neuroplasticity, and that's why I love it, because I love anything innovative and any kind of spiritual technology. I'm all over it. So as always, if you want to know more about how RTT can help you bust through your blocks or dissolve your rejection blocks or any kind of blocks, then do drop me a direct message. I do try to answer all of my messages. I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm sorry if I haven't replied to you, but I will get around to it. Drop me a DM and we can arrange a call if you want, or if you've got any questions you want to ask me about anything, about RTT or about rejection or about anything, then please do send me a message. So that's all for now. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week for another Mindset Monday. Bye.